Peace and welcome to the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. This is the show that you're going to find on these or any other airwaves where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of our culture and we heal it with freedom music. That's right, freedom music. It happens from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. Some folks don't have the bandwidth to get on that early, but some do. You can come on and go backstage with me and hear all the great healing, motivating, and inspirational music that comes out of the culture, that comes from the people. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications and share so that every time we have a Real HD show, we can have a higher discussion with you. Also, Total Package Energy, melanated company, all natural product, Olympic tested, people approved. Go mob their website. Tell them the Real HD show referred you. Waters, gels, teas, zips, lotions, powders, all the things that you need for that 3 to 5 o'clock crash. Go check out Total Package Energy. Also, I'm going to change this, but I'll just show you this particular marker. Redeem vacations. Bring 5 people to the Real HD show or any of the Real HD show programs, and you will get a 4-day, 3-night vacation to a destination near you in these Americas or the Caribbean, courtesy of the Real HD show. Don't sleep on this offer. Also, we'll be getting into it more in the show, but make sure you check out and go to her GoFundMe page, Black House. Check out the Black House Boutique. It's on GoFundMe 4D173D38. That's the homie Jazz. She's real dope. She's a producer on the show. Always supporting, always holding us down. Please go hold her down at the Black House Boutique. You can find that on Monroe Avenue if you want to walk in Rochester, New York. But if not, you can go online and find the Black House Boutique, giving you everything you need: art, collectibles, bath and body products, all products for, community pride and community solidarity. Check out the Black House Boutique, Monroe Ave. Okay. So we're here tonight, and we're here tonight for a specific thing. We are here for the July Ether Heater Part 3. And my apologies for not putting that up, but that will go up right now, post haste. Give me a second to grab it, and I will put it up. Yeah. Okay. Went past it. Pardon self. On a knowledge adder cipher night, evening. How's y'all summer solstice going? I hope it's a happy one and a healthy one. We want to do it with you. So when you hear this, you put these letters here: StreamYard.com/8ITQV5TC5M in your above address bar. And you can come on here backstage with us. See how this happens? Watch this. See how that happens? Now we can make room for all the dope people that want to have a higher discussion on the show tonight. We do it just like that. I don't want to stay like this. I want to get like that. Because then if I'm like that, then I know that we have lots of super duper intelligent, conscientious brothers and sisters on here, telling it like it is and making it how it's supposed to be. We are the Real HD, the higher discussion. And as usual, we always start off our show with our Ancestors and Elders Blueprint. And tonight we got a blueprint. He's not an elder, he's not an ancestor, but he's an important member of our community. And I'm talking about nobody other than Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian. And he has some interesting things to say about hip hop. And I wanted to play it because then what we're going to talk about when we get into our Power to the People news segment is definitely going to radiate in that direction. So let's check out what Lord Jamar had to say. It's a 10-minute clip. It's anime. Shout out to Hip Hop Cartoons. Go to their web channel. Tell them the Real HD Show sent you. And look at all their fantastic anime videos. Great way to get your children conscious in a fun way, in a live way, in a graphic way that they could absorb the information. Hip Hop Cartoons, specializing in Neely Fuller and Amos Wilson, orations. So without further ado, let's put this up and let's hear what the wise brother Lord Jamar has to say about being a guest in the House of Hip Hop, because that's going to come up in a little while as we proceed through the show. All right, check this out.
Listen, okay, the white rappers that they have hit up, like my man MC Serge, my man R.A. the Rugged Man, even this dude Ritz, even the Yellow Wolf, they all agreed that this is black music, and that technically, in their mind, even though they don't want to truly admit it, but they know white people are guests in the House of Hip Hop, and they all said that. All the white people said it. It's the black people who are connected to white people, because damn near every one of those black people you name is connected to a white person somewhere that they fuck with in hip hop. All of them are quick to go against the black man's word and say, oh no, this shit is for everybody. But no, papi. Yes, hip hop is a universal music. But black people created it. You understand what I'm saying? Black people created something that's universal. This is still some black shit, though. You understand what I'm telling you? This is still some black shit, regardless if it's proliferated all over the world. The English language is spoken all over the world. Does every person who speaks the English language have a right to talk about the affairs of England? Hell fucking no.
All right, well, there it is. There's Lord Jamar. Never held his tongue on something that he was determined and wise about. Let us know, man. What do y'all think? Or, is DJ Vlad vindicated in the way that he goes about exploiting black arts and film and hip hop and entertainment to get views and clicks online? Is Eminem one of the best MCs, even though he, quote unquote, might be a guest in hip hop? Let us know. What do you think? Is Jack Harlow and not Jack Harlow, what's the other one's name? Well, you can say Jack Harlow, and you can also say first one that came to mind is Macklemore, but there's another one. And they give him these lofty titles like the King of Hip Hop and the King of R&B. Are those titles aptly deserved? Let us know. We'll go back to that clip again once we get our panel going, and because I want to get their opinion on this as well, on whether or not these things are apropos, or is there some sort of glass ceiling here that nobody's talking about. Let us know in the chat. Put it right there. I'll put it on the screen. But for tonight, if you want to jump on and say anything about anything, get involved with the show, have a higher discussion, you can. Once again, down there, that's the call number, or call letters, I should say. StreamYard.com/8I-TQV 5TC 5M. I know that's a mouthful. That's why you just Slide through, copy, paste, put it in your address bar, and away we go. Once upon a time, not long ago, where people wore pajamas and live life slow. Hey, if you can name who created that lyric and what song it comes from, I'll give you $100 restaurant voucher, courtesy of the Real HD Show. Once upon a time, not long ago, where people wore pajamas and live life slow. TikTok. You only get until we do our Power and the People news segment to answer that question. Put it in the comments if you know, and the Real HD Show will send you your restaurant voucher. Good for $100 at whatever restaurant you want to go to, and you take that discount off the bill and you rock out with you and your loved one having a good time. If you're in the Rochester area, I recommend India House. I recommend King and I, Thai cuisine. And there's some also really, really great restaurants in the area that you guys can patronize. So there that goes. And here we go. So we're done with our Elders and Ancestors Blueprint. And we're off to our AAT report. Healthy, Wealthy, and Wiser for a Brand New You. And the last time we were doing our AAT report, we were talking about cancer, ways to cure cancer, number one. And number two, the benefits of cayenne pepper. I was going to start our series on that. So I'm going to do the AAT report on both those subject areas. And hopefully you get a lot out of it. And then if you have a comment or you want to have a higher discussion about the benefits of this cancer remedy that I'm going to talk about and cayenne pepper, we can rock out Real HD Show. But for right now, we're going to get back into the benefits of cayenne pepper. I'm going to find that clip and we will get into it. Let's see. No, that's not it. That's the show before that. And okay, here we go. Cayenne pepper. No, is that it? Or was it another one? Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. So we'll play this a little bit longer than we did before.
Health benefits of cayenne pepper. Cayenne peppers contain capsaicin, a compound that helps fight inflammation and pain. 1. Fights arthritis. 2. Boosts immunity. 3. Lowers blood pressure. 4. Treats diabetes. 5. Prevents heart disease. 6. Reduces pain. 7. Helps digestion. 8. Relieves acid reflux. 9. Can help with weight loss. 10. May be good for your skin.
I will play that again. Peace, Sister Aurora. What's going on with you? I'm glad you made it back from your trip safe. How you doing tonight? You got to unmute your mic. You got to unmute your mic, sis. Your mic is muted on the bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. How you doing?
I'm sorry for being late. I'm using a new device, and so everything that you have to sign in. You click this is sign in again, sign in again.
Oh yeah, so, yeah. That's
I
trippy.
did not know I'd have to keep doing that. So how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you could catch up and hang out with us a bit tonight.
Thank you.
I'll say it for you, but I'll also say it for the people at home. Mm-hmm. So here are the call letters on the bottom. I will take the ticker off and I'll tell everybody if they want to get to the show and they want to watch it and they want to get backstage and they're having a little bit of problems, it's best to use Google Chrome or Firefox, the best two, I guess, internet graphic platforms to use. And then also make sure that you have your sound unmuted and have your camera on so that we can rock out. Hey, I like that. I like that. I like that. I may have to do a little Swami thing for my background. I may have to get fly like you and just put a dope background back there. I like that style. All right. So we were in the middle of our health report and we were talking about the benefits of cayenne pepper and how extremely healthy it is for you to use cayenne pepper, make cayenne pepper a part of your diet. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, so I'll play it again. And then I have another follow-up video about how to stave off cancer with this new, I guess, medical procedure that they're offering people. So let's get back into this. Benefits of
Health
cayenne
benefits
pepper.
of cayenne pepper. Cayenne peppers contain capsaicin, a compound that helps fight inflammation and pain. 1. Fights arthritis. 2. Boosts immunity. 3. Lowers blood pressure. 4. Treats diabetes. 5. Prevents heart disease. 6. Reduces pain. 7. Helps digestion. 8. Relieves acid reflux. 9. Can help with weight loss. 10. May be good for your skin.
All right. So that was the benefits of cayenne pepper, and we can implement those things into our diet and for a happy and a healthier you. That was part of our AAT report. Happy, healthy, wealthier, and wiser for a better you, because we all need more cell power. Now, because one of our, loyal fans of the show just shared with us a little while ago that perhaps they were in a cancer-based situation with their medical condition, I decided to put up a video to show a little bit about some unique, groundbreaking procedures that were going on to treat cancer. And I'd like to know from the audience if you guys would ever consider, doing this. If you had your opportunity to stave off cancer for yourself or a loved one, would you get involved with something like this? Let's check it out. Real HD Show.
Histotripsy is a new non-invasive technology that uses focused ultrasound waves to target and destroy cancer tissue in the liver. When the ultrasound waves are transmitted through the body and reach the targeted tissue, they cause vibrations that create high pressure. This pressure creates tiny, naturally occurring gas bubbles known as microbubbles. These microbubbles expand and collapse very quickly, forming a bubble cloud that moves through the targeted tissue directed by the histotripsy machine. The expansion, collapse, and vibrations make the cancer cells break apart completely. This destruction only happens inside the bubble cloud, avoiding damage to tissue that is not targeted. Research indicates that important structures like blood vessels are strong enough to remain intact even as surrounding cancer tissue is destroyed. Unlike conventional therapies, histotripsy only uses mechanical forces rather than chemicals, surgery, or radiation to destroy cancer tissue. As a result, it doesn't create heat or ions that damage healthy DNA, and it preserves antigens, molecules that help the immune system recognize any remaining cancer cells for cleanup. When the cancer cells are destroyed, they leave behind a harmless liquid that gets absorbed and flushed out by the body's natural drainage systems. In weeks and months that follow, the volume of unwanted tissue shrinks. At UChicago Medicine, we have specialized equipment that allows physicians to combine their expertise with robotic precision to plan the ultrasonic wave treatment and monitor it in real time.
Okay, so hypsotrypsy as a preventative measure for cancer. So what do you think, sis? Are you down with that? Would you? They say it's like an ultrasound for reaching cancer cells, and they do it without,
Invasive.
exposing people to exposing a patient to radiation, and without ruining the antigens that
Mhm.
alert the immune system to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So
See, and I would try that.
you would
Yeah.
try that?
Yeah, I would try that because you hear the cure is sometimes worse than the disease right now. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense that y'all can't make this cure that's safe. Chemo could poison your blood, and then people get sicker and then dying. So I've had a lot of folks in my circle that have passed on by cancer, but the cure was worse than the disease.
No, absolutely. Me too, man. My father passed. I've had aunts pass, and all kinds of
Yes.
folks. Just is it about time? Do you think this is long overdue for something like this?
I think it's way overdue. And, there's always the suspect that there are cures out there, but all of a sudden America doesn't want to pass it through an FDA. And you see people going overseas and, their cells are healing. But the money isn't in the healing, unfortunately. The money is not in the healing. And that's why we got.
It's in the repeat emergency room.
Yes. My business, my aspirin all of a sudden turns to, $25 a pill.
Oh gosh.
If you weren't there, you couldn't make that kind of money. And it's unfortunate that, states, we just don't care about people in the way that we should.
Yeah, and that's an interesting take that you just gave, because it makes me think about you heard of the rap group the Wu-Tang Clan, right?
Oh, please, yes.
Okay. So they had an album that was never released, and they put it on like an auction bid for like the highest bidder.
Mhm.
And this white guy bought it for, I think, about maybe $5 million, something like that. And he kind of held on to it, but unbeknownst to them, he was linked to some sort of pharmaceutical company that was price gouging cancer medication.
Wow.
And they rescinded their offer
Mhm.
for him to buy that unique piece of art
Right.
for auctioning, because one of the members' people had cancer, and his company was responsible for making cancer medication, through the roof and
Right.
unattainable and
Mhm.
just ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Right. It just tears that oath, do no harm. Okay. Because,
Yeah. How about it?
that just kind of mixes it. I'm like, how y'all saying that when, an EpiPen is $1,000 or $7,000 and you got kids needing it, just a little stick,
Right.
So,
Man. Do you think they're going to do you think they're going to administer this something similar to the way that they're trying to do Ozempic? Do you think because
they probably will. And,
Mhm.
right now, Ozempic is not only on the black market, but then, people are getting it and trading it. I mean,
right, they're even trying to get Medicaid.
Yeah,
Put it on a Medicaid list as insurable drugs,
Yeah. And it's just, this is what they're doing. It's now, Victor takes all kind of thing, and it's just killing the people. They don't care. It's killing the people. So I just hate to see it. People have to go through that now, especially when, you watch somebody. It's not an instant kind of terminal, what they call terminal disease or terminal illness. It's going to come to an end, but what do they got to go through just to get that,
Right.
So that's unfortunate.
Right. Hey, sis, you know what? Did I ask you how you were doing? Did I ask you how the fam is and everybody?
Yes. Oh my gosh, my family is so incredible. We haven't seen each other in years, like as a group, since the pandemic. And somebody's always sick. So I'm like, I'm going this year. I'm just going to hang out. My mom had six sisters and two brothers.
Oh wow!
And so
Big
she was
family.
the first one to she passed, her brothers passed. And so my mom's sisters and my first cousins, they're like my sister cousins because they always came and, we spent summer together and things like that. So it was really great hanging out with them. And then they had a surprise birthday party for my other cousin. And he's just had accolades. It's the accolades that he received to show the type of man he is. He's really a good guy.
Oh,
People
good.
came as far as Puerto Rico to surprise him.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So he got his rose. He got his roses, right?
Yes. I said, it's wonderful when someone wants to do that while you're alive. It's
Absolutely.
like, do it while I'm here, please.
Right.
Yeah. And then Sunday, my sister cousin got an award at her church. Surprise! She didn't know, and she didn't know that's why I was coming. To support her. So it was a good week, and everything was going on.
Nice,
family was getting together.
Nice.
So it was real nice, but hot. It was hot and muggy.
I'm sure. Well, fun to get away and do stuff like that and be involved with family, especially if it's family and you get to be in those. That was a destination trip, right?
The road, having a good old road trip.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I found out how you were doing.
I'm fine, thank you.
Before we pontificate about the universe,
That's it.
as it were. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I understand how home base is doing. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Hope everything continues to give you favor and shine on for you.
Thank you.
So we were in the middle of our AAT report, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wiser for a Brand New You. And we were talking about hyptotrypsy, a ultrasound way to detect and destroy cancer without radiation poisoning. And we were talking about the pros and the cons of it, whether it will become the hottest commodity on the pharmaceutical industry, or whether it would be, the greatest thing since sliced bread, because so many of us have had either been afflicted with it or have loved ones that have been afflicted with it. And is this long overdue? So everybody watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all the places that the Real HD Show is broadcasting to right now, you let us know what you think of hyptotrypsy. And if this is something that you think that you would recommend for your people or even yourself, if in fact you were diagnosed with cancer. And last question to you though, sis, do you think that a lot of people in the medical field overdiagnose cancer?
Sometimes they do.
So that they could sell these products to people out at exorbitant prices?
Yep. Even the hint that, this will prevent cancer. So they scare you into thinking, anybody can get it because you already know that. But then they kind of scare you into these preventative medicines now, because they know somewhere out there there's a cure for certain ones and there's less invasive type of treatments. But that would be too much like right.
Yeah. We got to watch out for that too, though, because they need a market for all of these $1 million, $1 billion drugs and medical apparatus that they're trying to push. There has to be a market for it. You know what I mean?
But there has to be also test dummies for it too. And so a lot of times, your doctor's pushing this. I'm like, anything that ends in or could lead to death, I don't want. Why would you give it to me?
Right.
And doctors are pushing these new pills or these pills just because they know your insurance is paying for them right now because they know you can't afford them out of pocket. So, they want to subscribe them now and, have all these new methods of payments. I was looking, I said, oh my goodness, right in the doctor's office, you can sign up for a health card, a credit card that will pay for your whatever treatments you're getting. I said, this is new,
Right.
It's like they're trying to leave no money on the table. And
and then if they do it through Medicaid and your family has any sort of estate, when that treatment is up, they come in for that house.
Yeah.
They coming for
Yeah.
that house. They're coming for those resources to try to make
Yep.
up for the aid they gave you through the Medicaid.
And they'll show you something that you did not know that you signed. Okay. But there it is with your signature. And it's like, people really have to be careful because people don't care. It's not about, like I said, the Hippocratic Oath is, very Hippocratic right now.
Very hypocritical. Yeah.
Very hypocritical. And,
Now, the reason why I showed Peace Divine, what's going on with you, brother? Glad you could join the show, man. The reason why I showed both of those, the benefits of cayenne pepper and the hypsotripsy, is because I wanted to show that duality. Like, you don't really have to go that route if you're fortifying yourself on an everyday basis. Things that are good for your body with the things that are healthy for you. You don't necessarily have to be under the pomp and circumstance of medical technology. You can use the organic tech. About organic tech, you know what I mean? About
We're
that,
talking about that
turmeric and that garlic and that ginger, you know what I mean?
That's what parents used to do, like the cayenne pepper. I always know for swelling. I even use that, in my thing. I got the nice big bottle, for food. And we were talking about how our parents used to go out in the woods and they didn't have no app, and they would come back with some kind of plant or herb that's growing wild out there, and they would pull it down and drink it.
Yeah, take it, drink it.
And it worked though. It tastes nasty as all get out, but it worked. And I said, how we got apps now? We got to go out there. I'm looking at trees and saying, what is this kind of weed that they want me to cut down? This might be something that's sustainable, So it comes back to doing that. So I'm like, you see it on TikTok a lot. People selling bushels and stuff. I'm like, well, what the farm? I said, they're going back there in the woods and finding all that landscaping. Like, it's there. So, we do have to really get back to really kind of healthy things, because my mother nor my grandmother ever had a medicine shelf like mine.
Do you think we left a lot of that behind in the Great Migration of the 1940s, when a lot of Black folk came out of the antebellum South, Jim Crow, sharecropping experience? Not saying that was good by any measure. But did we leave a little bit of that organic swag behind that we could have brought with us and incorporated into what we do, and not be so dependent on pharmaceuticals, and so on and so forth? What do you think?
No, absolutely. Because like I said, my great grandmother, them used to have natural remedies. They'll go pick them little boysenberries off a tree, and come in and make you some elixir. You'd be up and running good the next day. I remember my grandmother used to put elephant ear plants. So those are those big plants that have the elephant ears. And they used to kind of soak them and lay them on me because I had asthma really bad. And
Same here. I grew up with asthma.
And they would give me these natural things. There wasn't no Primatine mist or anything. It tasted nasty. We have to have, what is it called, castor oil every morning. We'd line up, me and my brothers and sisters line up, and it's like, nope, a teaspoon of this is going to help you. It was the worst, but I'm like, now people are, selling castor oils and back in the health stores again. And I'm like, I remember we used to take this, it was nasty. It kind of worked because it helped build up our immune system,
Right. Hey, everybody at home, we're talking about old school remedies that were tried and true, that kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit with the move from down, with a lot of melanated people's move from down south to the upper cities north. And what were some of the remedies and treatments that your elder people used to administer to you? Put us on. Let us know if those things were stuff that you didn't really believe in when you were younger, because it tastes yucky and it was all type of nasty. And, then all of a sudden when you got older, you got a little affinity for it because you realized it actually worked. It was actually some science behind the health, what your family was giving you. So let us know. All the Facebook channels that we're on, or YouTube channel, Twitch, Twitter, everybody. Put it in the chat. Let us know where you're at with those homeopathic remedies, those tried and true things. And now you could let me know, sis. Don't they usually go to plants and harvest as many plants as they can for their homeopathic abilities, and then consolidate it, manufacture it, and turn it into pharmaceuticals?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole, a lot of the health shops and even older grandparents and things now, they're, how people say they're canning it, putting it in mason jars and mixing it and letting it ferment to the right, they know what that right point is and mixing it up. So some of the elixirs are, like I said, they may not taste as great, with sugar like Robitussin, but they work better than Robitussin.
Yeah.
They do. They work better. I mean, there's a plant that grows everywhere, and it's known as cucumber head. And so my aunt was taking it, and she's like, "That's all around you." So when we were walking, I found it, and I'm like, "Man, just wait for that little pouch to come and use that." And cucumber head, they helps you with your congestion, or helps lower your sugars, and or you can make it as a paste to use it to rub on your body, to help with inflammation and things like that. So I'm like, it's been for us, for my family, it's been trying to wean back to that, to being back to a healthier us, and plus to a space where we can start growing our own, even if we made a greenhouse inside the garage, because I'm telling you, it's coming that you're not gonna want to eat no food for nobody else. Our meats are being poisoned. I'm like, oh, thank God I don't need that, But every time you turn around, how does lettuce and lettuce and cabbage become on a recall? What it's been poisoned by the rodent, what they call the insect repellents and all of these other things, and they're like telling people they don't wash off. You can't wash that, and that's why people are getting sick after eating regular salads. And things are festering on them. So that's really a big, a big concern of mine at this time. Don't want to get all the way up here, not just, to be knocked out by somebody's pill. So I try to sit there and go back to a new way.
Absolutely. As the original agrarians of the planet, there's no reason why we can't get back there, for sure.
That's right.
So let us know what you think. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. If you agree, disagree, or otherwise about homeopathic remedies, and should we lean on those, or should we lean on more of the medical technology, like the hypsotripsy, to solve problems that we can solve ourselves? I'm of the ilk that we can help ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves, and forging our own destiny. So that's kind of where we're going to leave that. Let us know in the chat if you feel a different way or you think a different way about it. Let's have a higher discussion. Peace to everybody watching. Peace to Brother Mine. Peace to Sister Aurora. And everybody that's on the show right now, chopping it up on the Real HD Show. So let me ask y'all something, man. Let's get right into it. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Tariq Nasheed. Are you familiar with Tariq Nasheed? Conscious brother that did the Hidden Colors series?
No, I'm not.
Out of California?
I actually was just reading about it, but I wasn't familiar with who he was, so it was on.
Check him out if you get an opportunity. He's done some really dope documentary movies, kind of like in a Michael Moore type of style.
Okay.
And recently he did a documentary about hip hop, and he was on a show, a podcast, where he gave his take on what he feels about how hip hop is being, ruminated and influenced in the culture. And he's talking about the Olympics. And he said that they try to make us a guest in our own culture. And the reason why I'll put that up there, especially for someone like him that is so active, is because breakdancing is now in the Olympics. And are we able to retain the agency for an art form that we created, or are other people being posted up as the authority for an art form that we created in breakdance and hip hop and its influence globally? So what's interesting is, of course, breakdancing is in the Olympics. Breakdancing is the new Olympic sport for 2024. Here's what you need to know. And they have these breakdancing judges, and these are some of the, I guess, pioneers of breakdancing. They're not going to be the actual judges at the Olympics in Paris. So how do you feel about that? If R&B and hip hop was an Olympic sport, would you feel a certain type of way or would you think a certain type of way? Would it be an inequality if the very people who created the art form are not the ones judging the world and how the world demonstrates the art form that they created? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy because that's what's happening now. You know, the originators are not the ones being called to these shows.
Right.
You know, it's like when you look at something like, you think you can dance, and then you're looking like, who are all these people? You know, who are those judges? You know, and then again, they're now, you know, some of these art forms are in schools and things, and people are giving them, you know, compartmentalizing movements and things, you know, and I'm like, that's not what it was about, you know.
Right.
And so, but they're putting it in, and so here it is. You have a lot of you know, Black and brown students taking dance at college, okay, and in order to elevate themselves in the dance world, you know. And those criterias are not made up by people that look like them. So it's like, wow, you know, things have been taken away. I mean, it's one thing to share it, you know, because everybody wants to share their culture and share heritage and share the foundations of something that they've created or done. But the United States has a habit of misappropriating it, you know. So it's like that you see most of the producers, why most of the producers who have the larger areas, they're white. You know, you can go up there,
Right.
oh, so and so owns this thing, so and so owns this thing, but who owns so and so? You know, and so it's the face of it, but he's not the owner. You know, it's just like every time we went back and forth with the ownership of BET. You know, why? You know, and still questioning, but going back and forth with it until, you know, Tyler Perry gets it. There are ways that we have to continue to maintain our own medium, because that's where our stories get lost. So now you're going to have people in the Olympics breakdancing in accordance to some, you know, criteria that wasn't designed by us.
They took input from us, but they didn't. We're not sitting judges on the panel that are deciding if this person gets a 10 or a 9 or an 8. If they're representing the art form in the proper way. Did they show creativity, ingenuity? You know, were they customized? Did they show, you know, did they have enough showmanship and performance skill?
Right.
Peace, brother Rio. I saw you entered the show. Do you have an opinion on whether or not we should be the arbiters and the judges of breakdancing in the upcoming Olympics because it started with us? What's your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, yeah, and I'm just now joining the show, so I may have missed a couple of things. But when we really think about it, breakdancing has a long history, especially in the African American community, which is where it started, right? So when we look at how it's going to be entering the Olympics, in a lot of ways, is the Olympics going to honor the historical perspective of what breakdancing actually has done for society? And in my mind, I don't think so. I really think it's about to a certain degree, taking something that was uniquely that of African American culture, Black and Brown people, and trying to sanitize it or whitewash it in a way that allows or gives permission to other cultures to try to, in some ways, claim it as their own, right? And so, from my perspective, although I support, us being able to be highlighted and be a part of something such as the Olympics, we need to look at, well, what is the purpose? What is the intentionality behind it? And then are they going to make it benefit us as a Black and Brown community? Or is it going to really benefit the pockets of others who don't look like us? Which is what traditionally happens as we think about those things in which started with us, but suddenly becomes mainstream for those who don't look like us. And the next thing you know, people tend to forget where it started and the roots of it to begin with. So those are just my thoughts. But again, I'm just now coming into it, and I only heard a little bit from Sister Roar, and so and maybe my insight is helpful. But again, I'm just kind of stepping into the conversation. So those are just my initial thoughts as you were asking.
No, that's a great take, and I'll double down on that. If that does become the case, and we see that there isn't a whole lot of agency given to the people who actually created it, I don't know. Should we boycott that part of it? Because we know that part isn't being truly represented and truly fostered into the macro world stage with authenticity. And of course, with our, I guess, narrative in full scope or full scale. Does that turn into like a boycott the Grammys, boycott the Oscars type of deal? Because right now, the way it stands, they have a Australian judge who's a white guy. They have a New Zealand woman who's a white woman doing breakdance judging, and I think it's a Asian. I think it's an Asian guy that are the judges right now. We're not talking about Turbo or Crazy Legs,
Right.
or any of the, I guess, giants in the world of breakdancing. We're talking about, people who, I guess, practice it as a pastime or recreational type of deal, but they're not actually from the Bronx, from Brooklyn, from Queens, from New York, that can actually give you the true narrative and judge it for, its true roots in its entirety. Because I know I used to break dance. I was over there off of Cedric Avenue, Burnside. Shout out to Burnside. Shout out to Undercliff. When I was a little boy, I used to be out there breakdancing with the cardboards and the tracks. That's how our brother grew up. So, taking it back to the Bronx, I don't want to age myself too much, but there's a pride in that, and I would hate to see that tarnished only because on a world stage, it's not getting the depth and the appreciation that it should. Anybody got anything on that?
Can I just throw in a quick, because you said something I thought was very important, and I don't, if you don't mind, I'm never in favor of boycotting as much as I am in making it known what is it that we feel like is important, and then making sure that we have a seat at the table to be there, be heard, be seen, and then influence the things that needs to happen in a way in which gets us to a larger audience, but also in a way in which helps people understand you can't nor should you do these things without having us at the table. And I think all too often people make these decisions and do these things, and they forget that they don't have the right people at the table to help influence in the way in which it needs to be done. And so instead of boycotting, I always look at how can I get within that system or within that arena and help influence the change that needs to happen, but also help them understand that moving forward, you need to be very thoughtful about who the hell you got at the table, because not everybody understands what it means to be a person who looks like us, who has to live the life that we live or have those cultural experiences that may not always be valued and appreciated. And so, in order to make that happen, you need to make sure we are at the table. And that can't just be any old body, right? Not all black people or brown people are for us, right? But we need to make sure that, in the day, instead of boycotting, how do we get at the table? How do we get that influence? How do we initiate that power that needs to happen to get us to a different level? Okay, that's it. I'm going to take a step back.
No. It's your voice. It's your victory right here on the Real HD Show. We need these forums to talk, get it out there, express ourselves. And because, the macro media doesn't give us those opportunities. So we're going to get it through melanated media. Here we go. So, I thought this was a good topic to bring up. U.S. breaking pros want to preserve Black roots. Original style of hip hop dance form at the Olympics. And I think it's important to make sure that you have at least some of the remnants of the original progenitors there, so that in full force, so that the world knows where it came from, how it instituted. Because I would hate another 1,000 years from now aliens to come down and breakdancing looks totally different than it originated. You know what I mean? No melanated people, no black and brown folks doing it. Now you got a whole lot of other folks, and you think that is what breakdancing actually is, and it really isn't. It's something rooted in ingenuity, creativity, struggle, the urban experience, and how people made something out of nothing based on the savage inequalities that they were dealing with at the time. And it was actually really, like I always tell people, it was like a remedy for gang activity. So instead of, being on the street, cutting and beating each other up, folks decided to break dance, and they decided to show the pride in whatever borough, street, or what neighborhood they came from that way, instead of violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the creativity.
Right. And I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if that sort of thing will come across in the correct way on an Olympic stage. And it really, and it absolutely should.
Yeah, it should, because here you are, you're in the global spotlight, and we become kind of centric to our geography, But when I went to Abidjan in Africa, and it was amazing how we're walking up to the hotel, and the youth out there are breakdancing and singing to oh God, what was their names again? There were two boys, and they used to wear their clothing backwards.
Oh, crisscross.
Yes, crisscross. And they had everything, every single word of crisscross, and then they had some movements. And when they stopped, they couldn't speak a lick of English. They knew the song, they knew the whole thing, and you see these young boys, these African boys, and they're hearing this. And so, because sometimes our scope isn't out of our arenas, we don't know the whole world had picked it up. The whole world had picked up the craft and the art of it, and you see it now on America's Got Talent, where you're seeing Asians doing doing breakdancing and all these other movements. So we really have to sit there and look at the fact that, yes, we need to allow people to to share it globally, but we have to always remember to stay in control of the narrative. So that could be in between the sets. Why isn't there this, or who's originating it? But we have to stop giving away and just take, let's continue to control the narrative.
Okay.
Yo, can I add to this?
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
First of all, good evening, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
So I'm sitting here trying to think of a eloquent way of saying this, and I'm still like on some really, I think we need to put some fuck it in it. For real, for real.
Hey, if it apply, let it fly, bro. Go ahead.
On one end, and y'all gotta feel me. You already know. You seen me before. I ain't on camera right now. I'm just as black as y'all, but you gotta feel me on this right here or whatnot, because somebody, I don't remember who said it. Somebody had mentioned earlier about us getting a seat at the table and whatnot. We got to be in control of the narrative, is what you all just said and whatnot. But there is a major portion, whether it's the Olympics, whether it's music, whether it's acting, whether it's dancing, no matter what it is, when it comes to us, there's an element that is missing. And you gotta, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this and whatnot, but I'm gonna cut with truth. We are creators, we are originators, and we are creators. And as much as we would like to say that being a creator is power, and to a large degree it is, and to a large degree it isn't. For us, you got to look at the difference between being a creator and being in power, because we've been in a situation for so long. We try to look at what's right and what's wrong, and what's right and what's wrong is not based on or what it should be. It's based on, you ain't doing me right. This ain't fair. Even if we're creators, we are actually very much so entitled, even though we created it. And I'm gonna say, for this reason right here, because we created it, and just like Erica Badu said, I'm an artist myself. I get it. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. But the problem is we too damn sensitive and whatnot. We're too sensitive about everything that is pertaining to us and whatnot. And we attach to it by way of emotion. But we're not looking at it from a perspective, because we're attached to it, because we created it by way of emotion. That's the part that makes us entitled. But we ain't looking at it from the point of view of power, ownership. You talk about a seat at the table for what? To make us feel good, like, yo, this we created this. This came from us. Oh, so we can be acknowledged? No, let's acknowledge ourselves. And the first way that we acknowledge ourselves is by putting ourselves in power. Because you talk about whether it's TV, radio, Olympics, or whatever, they ain't putting that on for free. Money's being made off of it. We're not understanding contracts. We ain't reading contracts and understanding the ownership. We talk about we got jerked. We talk about what they did to us. That's not accountability. That's not self-accountability. And if we were to take that shit to Jay-Z, I'm overcharging niggas to what they did to the Cold Crush. He's in control of his name. He's in control of his product. He makes other people respect his name. You disrespect his name. He ain't coming with guns to the street. He's bringing you to the court and digging in your pockets. The same thing that they do to us in court because we don't know our rights. I'm gonna hit you from another. I just seen something on TV the other day and whatnot, and I'm a word man. I'm a lyricist. I'm a word man, and it caught me off guard what I heard. I'm gonna ask y'all: ignorance of the law is no what? What do they normally say?
Oh, it's no excuse. You're held accountable, even though you may or may not know the law.
Right. Now, peep this, because that's the perspective I was so used to hearing for all of these years. Ignorance to the law is no excuse. And usually when we hear that, it's because one of us have gotten arrested and it's in the moment. Well, I didn't know that was illegal. Well, you know now, because it's no excuse. That statement right there makes you subject to. It makes you subject to the law. It puts you under the control of the law. Now, here's the way that I heard it off of a show the other day, and the show came from the mouth of a judge, and it hit different. Ignorance of the law is no defense. That hits real different for me. Because to have a defense is to have an offense. That means there's a fight. That means you got your hand up and you guarding your grill while you swinging with the books that we used to getting the book thrown at us. And they give us time. The same thing that they give us in these terms and contracts. Time. How many albums you got to do? And as for what they take from us, that ain't just them taking from us. That makes you in a place of no power of self. It's not them taking from us. What did you give up? Because they didn't take your signature. You gave your signature. You gave your signature, and you gave your signature for an advance, for fame, for your name to be out there, for the money that they give you. Not looking at the fact that you got to recoup everything that they gave to you. And if they gave it to you, yeah, you got something for the moment. But what you also have over your head is what they got over your head is leverage. They know the law. They know what the power is that they wield. They give you the breadcrumbs, got you tap dancing for them, and now we crying because you made us tap dance. Now you took our dance from us. You took our tongue from us. You took our everything from us. And no, you gave that shit away.
Okay. Dope. I appreciate the take, man. Hey, man, agency and self-sufficiency is always the way to go. And that's the reason why I brought it up, is so I want to talk to the people about how we can actually do that. How can we actually obtain more agency, more self-sufficiency within the realm of the things that we create that go global, that all the leeches and the succubus get to, and then of course they get their little, piece of coin off of it, and then you're left holding the voluntary consent at the end of the day.
And it's not just the Olympics. It's our jobs. With these new interviews, how many times do you go into an interview to get a job? First of all, you asking for them to give you money. I don't care what you went to school for. You asking for them to give you money for your skill. How many times in these new days and times do we go in for a job, and before you even get the job, they have you waive your rights? What an arbiter, if anything comes up, we will provide an arbitrator and whatnot so that we can't be sued.
Right, and they let you know that in your whatever HR training that you have to go through.
And if you go against that, do you get the job? But do you need the money?
Right. Decisions.
So really,
it's interesting. It's interesting how much voluntary consent we give away for trinkets and baubles versus playing the long game. Sister Aurora, what do you think? Do we give our voluntary consent away for trinkets and baubles? Or should we be playing the long game? What's your thoughts?
I mean, you always try to sit there and play the long game, but again, you got to know how to play the game. You know, you get twisted or stuck. So, you know, it's you really got to know what you're doing, and like that's the ignorance. No, you have to kind of know for yourself. I mean, it used to be a thing. It's not that, oh, they ain't teach me. No, I was taught that we had to, learn to be and learn and study to show ourselves approved. I mean, my parents didn't wait for school to teach me. They were very on it. And so again, it's just like people are talking a lot about self-care. Well, self-governance too. You got to understand how to, move and navigate through these particular things. I'm not just going to sit there and just give it away because I don't think I'm going to make it to the, no, I'm going to do my best to figure out how I can continue to put myself in, and make it for the long game. Somebody could be narrating the Olympics of what the real was, and they're having a lot of those podcasts. I hear a couple of young ladies, I forgot who they are, but they're talking about that, They sent a lot of Black female photographers this year. One happens to come from Roosevelt. Shout out to Ash. She's from Roosevelt. She sat there and turned her passion and her love for track and field. And the first one, she got put on the Olympic photography team. And that has been seen, with all these young Black women who just put two passions together. They made their way to the Olympics. Are we going to boycott that? Because, no, everyone is trying to figure out, and you really have to figure out how you can navigate. You know, it's a one-on-one. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, because you don't think it can happen here. You know, I respect what you're saying, but you know, figure it out. It's whatever you say, figure it out. You know, if you really want it, figure it out. And so, yeah, we want to continue to sit there and explode on the global scenes. But just like this show, you own it. And so we can talk about it, and we can talk about it openly, and you know,
Yeah.
have different views on it. And it's not that many people will have a show where you can just come on and say, yeah, let me join the conversation, you know, because you want to be heard. So
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the shout out. Shout out to everybody watching the show and being involved with the show. I appreciate everybody coming through and all the channels that were on currently. Let's go to another one, man. Let's get into it. So, Power to the People news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Are you guys familiar with this? First of all, I'll take all Biden Trump opinions right now, but here's one in particular that I thought was crazy, but needs to be talked about is this one here. Trump endorsed candidate for governor. Some folks need killing. So everybody should be familiar with this Project 25 crap that is trying to be, I guess, you know, ruminated about. Is it fear porn? I don't know what it is, but it's there, and it's there for people to digest. But then you got some, you know, all skin folk and kinfolk.
that's right.
And do you think that's what we have here with this particular person running for governor and his aims and his wishes based on him being endorsed by Trump? What do you guys think? And it's okay if politics isn't your bag. We're just trying to have an open-ended dialogue so that we can know where we're going and what we're doing and have a clear vision and move accordingly. Oh, we got a comment. Hey, peace, Omega. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for tuning in, man. Jump on if you have an opportunity. I'll put the call letters on the bottom once again. So we got this dude, and he's a Trump endorsed candidate for governor. And with all of the I guess Project 25 stuff at task, you hear ruminations of, you know, civil war, blood being shed. There's a lot of shit talking going on right now on that other side of the fence. You know what I mean? And folks ain't standing still, but we got to know what's out there too. So just in case anybody doesn't know, let me try to put this thing up here. Shout out to Brother Mozzie. He put this on his page earlier today. And these are just some of the things that are trying to be, I guess, solicited with the Project 25 rhetoric that's out here. And I'll enlarge it so everybody can see it. So we got end of no-fault divorce, complete ban on abortion, ban contraceptives, no additional tax breaks, eliminations for unions and worker protections, all the way down to banning books, ending climate protections, ending marriage equality, end birthright citizenship, eliminate federal agencies. One of the things that they didn't put on here that I heard right out of his mouth is the stop and frisk. So if you're a New Yorker or a Philadelphian, you definitely know what stop and frisk is about. And you definitely know how dangerous that was to our people in our community. And that's one of the major things that he, this dude, the Orange Man, talked about as a consequence of, what he would do once he's really reelected. And what do you think about this governor here who's talking about the need for killing and being in line with those who would want to do harm to melanated people simply because it doesn't go in line with what the the national Christians want to see happen within the country. What do you guys think about that?
Incredible. That's the one that Trump said was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids, right? That's the one.
Let me see, because I'm gonna pull an article up.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah. Yes, the Republican governor Mark Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, if this dude ain't a meritorious manumission, I don't know what this dude is. Do you think it's always gonna kind of be that way, where we have those people in the mix, and you just gotta root out the weeds, or is this just an extreme case of a dude that want his biscuits buttered in a certain way? I'll read a byline and then you guys can tell me what you think about it. The Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina fired back Friday after Biden-Harris campaign called him a MAGA extremist to turn an audience in North Carolina that some folks need killing. In the latest example of the company Trump keeps, the campaign said the North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, who Trump endorsed, and called Martin Luther King on steroids, openly endorsed the political violence in a newly released video. It's the latest example of Donald Trump's MAGA extremists taking cues from Trump himself. So is this dude worth our time, or are there credible, I guess, things to consider in the threat that he's making?
So, if I may just kind of give my insight, I have to first start out by saying I'm well aware of who this dude is, and I'm from North Carolina, born and raised, and so I'm very political in a lot of ways, and so I keep up date with a lot of the things that are happening. And from my perspective, this is, what I liken to the Candace Owens of the Black and brown people, where, to a certain degree, they may have, or he may have his own personal beliefs, but sometimes I wonder what are the motives behind that, and it's not about the beliefs as much as it is about trying to give himself more prominence, more wealth, more connection to those who he feels as though can help improve who he is or his life. And, in a lot of regards, it's just total bullshit. And the things that come out of his mouth, sometimes I step back and I'm like, dude, are you, as a Black person, do you understand what it means to hear you say these things that are so demagoguery, that are so just homophobic, and as if there's a shame that comes along with being a person who's Black, right? And part of me thinks it's very sad when you see the political landscape and people buying into that Kool-Aid of bullshit, and buying into just the negativity that comes along with kind of those beliefs that he's putting out. Now, again, I'm going to say everybody has the right to believe what you believe. Like that's you. I'm not going to try to say one is right over the other, but to a certain degree, I call bullshit for bullshit, and I would not want to associate myself with anyone who has done and said the things in which he's done. And he has a long history. He ain't new. I mean, this isn't his first go around in terms of running for public office. He's currently the lieutenant governor, I believe, or something of the sort for the state. And so he's been on the political stage for the state of North Carolina for a hot minute and a half. But he is trying to show out in the name of Donald Trump to be able to get himself elected as governor. And I'm concerned that you got these crazy people, and I want to call them crazy yahoos, knuckleheads, whatever the hell you want to call them, who are going to buy into the bullshit. And it's going to be nothing but chaos, nothing but those who look like you and I being stomped on in the name of someone's personal agenda to try to get ahead of everybody else because that's what they feel like they have to do. And so I'm well aware of who this dude is, and it frightens me to think, just like it frightens me to think that Donald Trump can ever be elected again. It frightens me to see someone like this run for political office because there's so many things that could take us backwards instead of moving forwards when it comes to just the mindset of where he's trying to go.
Anybody want to follow up on that?
No, that was well said, Rio.
Yeah, so have you come across him at all in your travels throughout your home state?
No, because I probably cussed his ass out if I did, so no.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, I appreciate the take. That was dope. So listen, we're going to move on to another area that I want to get into, and it's a little touchy. So I hope you guys are ready. It's in the matter of police brutality. So too many times I have to, be encountered by headlines like this. Come on now, pop up. Cops arrest Black woman and drag her out of the car by her locks, punching, kicking, stomping, and brutalizing the system. Then I turn and I hear that a brother gets stopped in a routine traffic stop, going through the paces, tries to assert some, independence for himself or have a spine, and they smash in the window. So I wanted to talk to the family about what can we do about these sorts of things, because what can we do about these sorts of things, because I'm just tired of seeing headlines like that. And is it way past bedtime for us to have a national militia that can deal with things like this? Or should we just continue to be victims of cops brutalizing our people at every turn, just because they think they have the authority, or like Devon said, we give them the authority, or we give them the consent to do so? What do you guys think? Is it past time for us to forge a national agenda against this sort of thing, and even get physical to that means? You know what I mean? Like, is it time to do that? Because I mean, how many times are we going to see these sorts of things until it hits home? And somebody that you know and love is involved in a police brutality situation, killed, maimed, or indifferent, just because they're going about the regular parts of their day. They're working, they're picking up kids, they're shopping, they're doing whatever normal things that normal folks do. But because of the stereotypical way that this country operates, they become targets. What do you guys think? I'm not asking for absolute answers. I'm just asking for us to have a dialogue about it, because I know I'm tired of seeing this shit. What do you guys think? What do we do about this? And I'm gonna show you a picture, and I want to know if this is the answer. Is this the answer to that? What do we think, family? Talk. Let's talk. Let's have a higher discussion about it.
It's unfortunate that, because we are Black, that our just like you see white militia, they won't shoot them on sight. They'll
Right.
shoot us on sight. Our young boys can't even play with toy guns anymore. There's certain things that they can't wear. So unfortunately, just for the safety of us, we have to try a different method, because what works for them, holding us, guns and shooting us when we come to the door for directions, and got our hands up, it doesn't work for us. And we have too many names that we can list that have done just those innocent kind of things, and so yeah, we can't, we have to come up with a better way. And it seems as sometimes getting into the system is helping, but it's sad when you see us persecuting us unfairly and unwarranted. So, it's not enough people knowing who they are or respecting who they are, so you can't always count on that. But we can continue to try, and it's a cliche, but Jesse did say it, keep hope alive, because that's the only way we're going to battle what's happening, because it hasn't stopped. Every person we thought was going to stop, but it hasn't. So,
here's another question. Do we use organizational, strategic, and paramilitaristic efforts to counter what this is? Because this has been going on for hundreds of years. This is not new by any account. Going all back to the slave patrols of the antebellum South. So, peace, brother? What do we do in those situations to combat the institution that is this sort of violence and this sort of degradation and terrorism? And does it have to be learned from the youth? Or is it way back? Go ahead. Anybody want to jump in, please do.
Yeah, if I can. So I have to acknowledge that my experience with law enforcement has a different spin, in that, I used to actually work at a police department, and used to work for and with police. And in my professional career, I've had to engage with law enforcement in multiple capacities. And one of the things that I learned very early when I used to work for the police and did not realize what I was seeing is that there's this almost like a initiation in club, in terms of a hyper masculine, hyper vigilant way in which they are trained. And oftentimes that training doesn't allow or give those who look like you and I the benefit of the doubt, like they would white folks, for example. There's this automatic thought of, you have to be extra careful, you have to be extra vigilant when it comes to and specifically Black and brown people. And when I started working in my professional career and having to engage with law enforcement, I started to realize that as I would get in reports and things like that, that what the police may say in these reports does not necessarily mean that that's what happened in reality, right? And that there's this culture that is built around protecting themselves and protecting each other, right? And so what I started to realize is that in order to initiate the change that had to happen, especially with the populations that I may engage with, I had to start having open and honest dialogues with, whether it was the chief or the director or whoever it may be, about, hey, we have a population that we're working with here, and this is what I'm seeing, and this is the negative impact that it's having. We need to take a step back and think about how we're engaging with all of our constituencies, and then how are we going to support them? And we don't need to come across as being militant or assuming the negative. Let's actually see people for who they are as human beings, and let's start there first, right? And if there's policy violations or whatever that is taking place, we can address that, but let's address it from, I understand where we're at, we're humans, let's work through this, versus, oh, well, you did this, and as a result, I'm going to go at you hard, blah, 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 blah. And so slowly helping them to realize that you're dealing with humans, not animals, for example, did make a difference. But I have to acknowledge that I approach law enforcement in a way in which I have caution, but I also have to give credence in that these are people, whether we realize it or not, they do go out every day. Their lives are on the line, and it can change in the flip of a second, just like it is on the other end for any of us who may be walking down the street and may be mistaken identity, and our lives are suddenly changed because they decide to pull out a gun and shoot us or whatever it may be. And so it's a complicated. There's no easy answer to any of this, but I found that by engaging and having those conversations and helping them see the human in all of us, it's made a huge difference in terms of how they have responded and engaged with our constituencies.
I good take. Welcome, brother True Omega, to the show. I just put up a couple of pictures of some things that I'm actually way past tired of seeing, which is them cops brutalizing our brothers and our sisters on routine police duties, and then the inequalities of it all don't have it happening at the same proportion that it happens in our communities. Talk to us about what we should do to combat things like this, and where do you think you're at with that, brother?
Peace and wellness to everybody, first of all. If everybody's families are good. The brother just laid a beautiful answer, because it is a multi-tiered, complicated issue. We do have some of those that abuse power, you know what I'm saying? And they're walking sociopaths, just waiting to let whatever's angst is on their shoulders out and give to somebody that not necessarily deserves it, but they also 8 out of 10 times want to go home the same way they went to work, Then you have on the other side, we have like what you would call a cussing mouth atmosphere going on. People are quick to talk somebody down, like they'll really lash out on people, and then there's the mental health issues that don't get checked enough, and you have to have people on the force that are equipped with the tools to try to de-escalate these issues more than just go in and enforce, because you're talking to some people that may not understand what the consequences are all the way through, and just need to get to a mellow place where they can maybe offer taking medicine, or they just may need an extra session of talking down, and then there's another level of community policing that should be done by us, that are more responsible in the community and know the people. See, when you have patrols, or you have a familiarity with the people in the neighborhood, you get a different result. There's a different level of respect for their profession. There's a different level of respect for the people that are working in the neighborhood to feel safer. And the more that's good policing right there, first of all. When you know the people that you're in the neighborhood that you're policing and can go out to and use them for resources. But it has to be a reciprocity there. There's community-based organizations you should get with. There's parent-teacher conferences and stuff like that. This is when you start to rally people and no longer keep it a neighborhood, but turn it into a community for real. Organization on these key levels prevent victimization, and outward attacks.
So I have a question. What happens when the history of policing is rooted in us versus them kind of modality, when you consider the slave patrols that is the predecessors or the progenitors of today's police force. And then in today's police force is running rampant with neo-Nazi extremists, Proud Boys, KKK, all sorts of things like that will easily do the enforcement bidding of those who are the policymakers. And then lastly, what do you do if the fight is right in your face? You think you're stopping for a routine police just to get a ticket and move on? And now all of a sudden they're busting your windows, they're grabbing hair, they're treating you subhuman. What's your recourse?
All right, so let's
anybody could take any part of that. And there are no like super duper answers at this point. I just want to have a dialogue about it, because I would hate to hear that any one of us got into a situation like that and had no resolution for it. That would make me want to pick up arms and get busy. You know what I mean? Because, you know, my peoples was in the middle of something that was unfair to them, in the middle of a violent ordeal that could have been handled administratively. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, what do you got? And well, I won't go. I'll ask that question later, but I'll just, that's a lot to chew on. So I'll just go with that. Go with those two things on the thing. So let's start first with the infiltration or the infestation of these racist neo-Nazi groups and, you know, clandestine groups that have infiltrated the military and law enforcement, and how it's allowed. It's just regular, it's daily basis. You know what I mean? 1,000 people graduate from West Point, and they all throwing this up in the air. You know what I mean? Yeah. They all got this sign popping at the graduation. So anybody could jump in on that.
Oh, well, as far as that goes, I would say a lot of the culture that what reflected in the inner cities is that joining the force is not cool, or you're a snitch, or you're a square boy or a square girl, stuff like that. So, you know, there was a prevailing culture after a while when we actually had in New York City a great number of black detectives. You know, we also had a great number of black police officers, and it was a respected job, not on the side of a blue wall, but on the side of really getting to community organizers and, you know, trying to look and get to the problems and fix them. You know, there's a lot of background noise. It's not me. And what happened after that is, like, once the community, you know, activism started to die down, you know, of course, you're going to have people that is coming out of the correctional backgrounds, the army, you know, all the different military sources. And there's also this emboldenment that policing means control, and the militarization of the police society that became into effect. So when you have the militarization, you know, the guys are right there. Now, when they start to affiliate, that becomes us against them thing. So now we have to develop new rules of engagement that, you know, that change the atmosphere into that us against them thing. But instead of our, you know, when I say our, I just mean the grassroots, even to the street organizations, because the street organizations that we call gangs used to have the motive of protecting the community. They strayed away from them codes and mores and morals, you know, unfortunately, and it was designed that way. We got to understand that. You know, some of these people live these lives and it's not their fault. But there's accountability that must be paid. There's a debt. And your debt is service to the community, you know, and it's up to those who have a sort of authority and responsibility and influence to talk about that and bring them back to code. But as long as that's in effect, you're still going to get this imbalance. Your rules of engagement are also, you're going to mouth off more, and then the aggression and the second oath that is taken on these extremist groups, which Jeff Sessions said a long time ago is the most serious threat to the United States is domestic terrorism. These things got to be taken into effect, and until those bad characters are uprooted, you're going to have this angst. The only thing that solves this stuff is organization. And you know, it's a delicate balance between rules of engagement as human beings. How do I talk to somebody, you know, to get them to know that I'm concerned as well? You know what I'm saying? I bleed just like you do. And then, am I being detained should be the number one line. After that is name, rank, serial number. You know, until you have any evidence that everything is decided by the court of law. You can know all the statutes of the UCC and everything like that, but when a person is already directed to aggression, your mission is to find out how to de-escalate and conflict resolute first. Self-preservation. And then we can work with, you know, what do you know in street law? Because I know, again, 8 out of 10 times, they don't know those laws that you may run off, that you learned in the civilization classes and, you know, the studies and the lessons and all. They don't know that. You know, so now you have to teach. In order to teach, you have to have a temperance. You know, and not everybody on the street can teach like that because it's a high level of emotion. Things are moving fast. If you're not on point and on par, you know, you can lose the war before you begin to fight.
Should we have like self-defense class, knowing that this is a paradigm that most melanated people within the country live under, and this can happen at any second, any day, on any street corner, any highway, you know, whatever. Is it incumbent upon us to have defense strategies, defense classes, defense mechanisms already in place as a community, so that when these things arise, just like they call back up, we call back up. And especially if it's going to escalate into a physical thing right off rip, which a lot of times it does. What's our next step when there is no talking about UCC codes? There is no talking about 4th and 6th Amendment. There is no talk about 10th Amendment and police powers, and they don't want that. They go into the physical straight away. And now it becomes protect your life or not. Is it way past bedtime for us to do stuff like that? And have we looked past some of our better organizations and some of our longer standing organizations? And should they be more militaristically equipped to help us handle things like this, like the NOI, or like they got the NFAC? You know what I mean? Should there be a chapter in every city, so in case these things happen, you have outlet for call and response? What do you guys think? Because you know, you jokers are going overseas to Israel and training over there, taking their apartheid tactics that they use on the Palestinians and bringing them back here and being hyper militaristic with the way that they're going about dealing with it. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think?
I mean, there's still organizations like the National Action Network that kind of teaches people how to diffuse situations, because they know that, you know, certain people are bought into our crowd so they can start something. And so, you know, Reverend Al has always taught everyone how to diffuse that situation before it starts, because it's probably not us, but an auditor that's been brought into the crowd to disrupt things. So you still have a lot of organizations in little areas, and of course, including the NOI. You know, I mean, the nation is sometimes brought into a lot of groups just to help keep the order, just by their visibly being there. You know, their presence speaks to order. And so sometimes that, you know, so we use this, you know, it should be the use of the same organizations that we know are there to protect us, you know. And one of the biggest things, like Brother Joe Mega was saying, is that, you know, you do got to know for yourself. You got to study for yourself and know the law and know what's, you know, today's a whole different world. Now it's like, okay, well, that was your lying eyes. 3 million people saw something, that's been recorded by a cell phone or something, but no, it was our lying eyes. But we do have ways to sit there and now and again reshift the disruption, get the auditor before the auditor disrupts us. That's how they had with the Nassau. This is the first time ever Boys to Men came out to Nassau County, and it showed a record park number of 40,000 people. Never been in that park before, and we had no incidents. And except for some people probably, weren't us being alcohol or whatever, but there were no incidents. And so, but you have June 6th, because people shouldn't remember that, of 2021, and you brought all them into the capital area, and there were not only incidents and deaths and holding against wills and things like that, all on that one day, or by the highest office in the United States. It's different for us, but we do make sure that when folks come out like that, we're not there to disrupt our fun. It's been a while since the park had anything like it. And so when the next concert they had, it went off beautifully. They moved it to Mitchell Field. But again, it's the control that we have as we come there for a good time. But then yet when they had that little rock and roll thing, these boys' cars were busted, people were drunk, Nassau County didn't show all that, but they didn't even show all the fact that we did not have as much disruption. To have 40,000 people in an area to see Boys to Men was phenomenal. And you did not get a host of, criminal activities or things that went on. You came there with your family and having a time.
Brother True, what do you do when it's already at the physical level? They don't even give you a chance to, be diplomatic with them about whatever. And them race soldiers is coming for that head. And you're in the midst of it. Like that brother, he gave his license and registration. He thought he was just going to get a ticket and go about his business. Next thing you know, because he didn't give them the voluntary consent to search his car, they're busting windows, they're yanking him through broken glass. What do you think would be a viable solution to these things? How can we maintain frame and dignity as men and protecting our families, providing for our families, when these things are constant threats on that can emasculate, you know what I mean? And put all types of dangers in your path.
You got to start from scratch, man. Self-defense start when you get up in the morning and brush your teeth. Self-defense start in your kitchen, certain foods you eat. Self-defense with you checking yourself and your emotions, and knowing what your true reality is. You're behind enemy lines, outgunned and outorganized.
Let's talk.
Get that right first. And when we talk about other groups, everybody don't have a grouping, what I'm saying? It's splintered now because people are publicly and openly disagreeable. The NOI is good until it's time to join and be disciplined.
Hey, hello.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a bunch of the groups out there, National Action Network, until it's time to be political and get out there. You don't want to march or be hurt. So you got to go to work, extra hours. So the first mobilization begins in the immediate circle. First level of self-defense begins with yourself and your heart. And knowing not everybody's somebody to mouth off to. These people that they would say get away or whatever like that. No, they just got the means to pay for legal counsel. I get you after the fact. Because the money speaks further than your mouth does. Economic base, representation. If we have a nucleus where we can be properly represented without all the fluff and the flam, and really become a formidable power, less stuff will happen because now people got to be held accountable. So it's cool to put up the little cell phones and stuff like that. And you seen that what happened after rest of soul Eric Garner. The kid with the cell phone was the one that wound up getting locked up too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's suppression of information, media blackouts and stuff like that. You gotta keep the voice and keep the word out. Don't let it just be, a 10-month thing. That'll be a 10-year thing. That's how everybody else move. You say never forget that stuff. I still remember, Amadou Diallo, Patrick Dorisman, Eleanor Bumpers and stuff like that. Come on, this is not an ongoing thing for you in seeking social justice, but doing it politically, intelligently, economically smart, and trying to mobilize, find your tribe. It's just going to be another buzz thing.
When do you think we're going to say enough is when? Oh, go ahead. Somebody else want to jump in, please do.
Yeah. On one thing, and a lot of the things you just said, I agree with. But the one thing that we got to do is, because you said find your tribe. The one thing that we got to do is find our voice. We're talking about who's going to represent us. We got to represent ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the fight start? You showed the picture of the kid with the gun. That's triggering. That image is triggering. For us, that right there, that is triggering and whatnot. Certain things that certain people say is triggering. When you might hear the word nigga from somebody that don't look like you with the hard ER, that's triggering. Here's the thing. How many of us we deal with the unseen forces every single day in the workforce out here in the world, but have no conception of the unseen force from ourselves. We look for other people to represent ourselves and whatnot, represent us. But what about our own brainwaves? In other words, we have to learn psychology because they do. Not only do they know psychology, they know us. They know how we think. They know what triggers us. They know what buttons to press. They know what we like. They know what we buy. They know when we buy. They got cards with the magnetic strips that have the information of everything that we buy every time that we buy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in that, whether you dealing with direct hand-to-hand combat or you dealing with psychological warfare called marketing,
mm-hmm.
we got to understand psychology and whatnot, because even when we think that we at peace, how you at peace when you're constantly getting hit with a barrage of marketing, a barrage of thoughts, a barrage of seduction, a barrage of what you should be doing and what you should feel like and how you should feel. Other people tell, just like women, for example. How you gonna have somebody tell you what's beautiful when you got eyes of your own to look in the mirror to see what's beautiful?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't just keep letting other people dictate what our image is. We have to start looking at what our image is and whatnot. And y'all mentioned the long game, and you just mentioned discipline. Let's put those two together, the long game and discipline and whatnot, because what it is that you just said, it sounds like every man want heaven. You want to die and go to heaven and meet God. Every man want heaven, but no man want die.
Let's go.
So,
Let's go.
So in the thing of the long game, all of us are of the age where we got our favorite artists. I can call up and rock him.
Mm-hmm.
Bet you can give me a verse, at least 4 bars of any song.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about this right here? Because that don't just go to Rakim. We can go to Kaya. How many little 2-year-old girls was booty shaking to my neck, my back?
Yeah.
So let's look at it like this. If little girls can do that, and that's the influence, we got influenced by the God. That's the influence. How about this influence? Why don't we teach our children? Because It's not taught in school. It's not even suggested in school until you choose it as an elective in college to learn about law. The messed up part, if we go to In Living Color, that shit was funny with Damon Wayans and whatnot, looking like he was in the Nation of Islam while he was in jail. The only time that we learn law is when we're in the law library in jail. So here's the suggestion. If we can go and learn the ABCs from Sesame Street, if we can go and do, matter of fact, let's upgrade to our age now. If we can listen to and appreciate Papoose do a song with the alphabet, why can't we get a Black's Law Dictionary and learn the law? Long game. Learn that shit. Long game. Reconstruct our thoughts the way that we think. And here's the thing, because I'm not just saying duck the fight, but I was also taught the best way to avoid a fight is to not be there. So in those words of wisdom, I'm going to go back to the 90s. We all was screaming, hell yeah, we felt like we got to win. OJ got off. He got off. But not one of us was screaming for who got him off? Johnny Cochran?
Oh yeah, you gotta mention the ancestor name like that.
Like, how many of us want to be a Johnny Cochran and whatnot? Because if you want to be a Johnny Cochran, right, and we reconstruct our minds, by doing that, I guarantee you certain places in the street, there's certain places that we not going to be whether we live there or not. It starts in the mind. You got to represent yourself. Like I told you last time I was on, I'm not a 5%er, but damn it, I am God and whatnot. I self Lord and master. And that's an ongoing process and whatnot to master self. Because the first thing that you said just now was control. They come through with control. The psychology of that, they try to control you. That means that they're taking the control of you out of your own hands and whatnot. We have to control and self-govern ourselves. In order to do that, we got to know how we think. What triggers us? What is our own trauma? Whether it's history or whether it's in the apartment, the house, or wherever, and it was yesterday. What's our trauma? What's our triggers? How you fighting triggers outside of yourself, like you said, was organized when we're disorganized in our minds and whatnot on some. A lot of us come from dysfunctional families. If you come from a dysfunctional family, you got a dysfunctional mind and a dysfunctional imprint.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's why I said self-defense starts when you brush your teeth. As soon as you get up.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yep. You know the difference between the red stripe toothpaste and the black stripe toothpaste. You know what I'm saying? Or to ditch them both together and use ginger root and, cardamom or something like that. Do you know what you find a new element through the knowledge that you get, and you put that knowledge into a culture, form a new way of doing things in a tradition. You know what I'm saying? And you teach the babies. Teach the babies after you teach yourself. Because you want to mislead the babies if you haven't taught yourself. So everything you say, I'm 110% with, straight up and down.
One of the things you just said between the black stripe and the red stripe, and we talking toothpaste and whatnot, one thing that we're not talking is chemistry. We don't know chemistry, but we put all types of chemistry in our bodies every single day. And they put chemicals in us to control us and break us down and whatnot. It's done like that on purpose and I'm not even just trying to like us versus them type thing and whatnot. I'm not trying to like blame somebody else, this, that, and the other. But what I am saying, this is what they've got scientists on the fucking payroll and whatnot to put certain shit into us to control us. And then at the same time, all right, now that we got the poison, how do we get the poison in them? Let's get some qualified marketers to get the fucking poison in them and whatnot.
Yeah, because if you don't know that chemistry comes from you,
that we like.
Yeah, if you don't know that if you don't know that it comes from you, you don't want to learn it.
Absolutely. And
you got nothing to do with it.
We don't want to learn it. It comes from us because there's a lot of self-hatred there's a lot of religion, there's a lot of spirituality that goes along with that and whatnot. People coming from different backgrounds and whatnot. So it's sort of kind of hard for you to look at yourself in a position of power when we've been trained to look at ourselves in a position of weakness for so long and whatnot. And we think just because we on YouTube or just because we on Instagram that this is the new social media. I got a question. Because if you do a crime and you was judged by a jury of 12 people, that's supposed to be your peers that's judging you, but the lawyers is saying shit to influence those people that's judging you. If that's an influence, that's another form of social media. But I'll do it one better. How in the hell are let's go back a couple hundred years. How are those your peers as an equal when they looked at you as 3/5 of a man? How are your peers?
How do your peers if they didn't grow up with you? How about that?
Not even just that. not grew up with us or whatnot. It would be the equivalent. We can go back to England. The laymen, the sleepmen, the laying down sleepmen versus the clergy or the clerics or the secretaries or the aristocracy. They know the law back then. The laymen did not. We walk around sleeping laymen right now and still don't know the law, but we get upset when the law is not fair. That goes back to the original thing in we was just talking about earlier insofar as hip hop and whatnot. If we knew what those contracts were saying, and if we was in control of the contracts and whatnot, it would be a different type of story or whatnot. Because again, if we knew law, if we took the time to know the law instead of being distracted, what if there was a whole bunch of Johnny Cochran's around? Will we be dealing with the same shit? We talking about organization, but if we learned that as individuals, and then we got with like-minded ALites and whatnot, each one teach one. Now we got an organization of a whole bunch of heads not looking for a leader, because what they do with us, they chop off the heads of the leader, the body drops. What they do with them, you could chop off one of their heads. They're going to grow back 7 more like a hydra.
Systematic. Yes, sir.
I get with that, but a lot of that is, our own myth that we build up within us as well, because the reality is not everybody on that or other groups don't have a majority people that know the law either. They have a structure that gets them to know who's proficient in law. And it's easier to go to them because they still have a sense of a code that they have to reflect the desires of the people, their own people. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has a role inside of that. On our side, I like to say those side things, but we're gonna talk shop right now. With Black people, we are disjointed in so many levels and then disenfranchised. And then you have a lot that are going for the goals to mimic white, a level of upper echelon white success, rather than be loyal to the people. And it's not everyone, but it's so splintered out that it's hard to find a few that you can actually believe in and put stock into, even young ones. And it's like this: if there's a power base that is affluent enough to pay for the best talent want to express themselves and, of course, live a life, they're going to go to where it's more affluent, at least to get to know what power is. So if they do decide to come back, and, you have to have that attracting power as a political body or a structure or economic system for them to come back to and say, yeah, we can raise 10 more. We have the power to raise 20 more like this. You know what I'm saying? And not make it alluring. Not make it alluring for them to be disloyal to it. You gotta want to come back. You know what I'm saying? And that's the cutoff right there. We have a lot of amazing people, Yeah, but when they get a semblance of what quote unquote success and wealth is, and the affluence and all this other stuff, they get an air of importance, and it's like they want to come back and then they get robbed. When they come back, or they look at the stereotypes and think the stereotypes is the majority, and when it's not. A lot of people are just working normal people.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say this. I appreciate everybody that came on the show. And to piggyback off of what you brothers are talking about right now, please go check out realnagas.com. They have an excellent police stop law class. Please go patronize them, people. Please go patronize that, because I think it's way past bedtime that we ride around with these things readily accessible. So, when them race soldiers come up with the smoke, you put it right on your windshield. You put it right on the 2 inches of, pane glass that separates you and them. Violate my rights and I'll take your house. They got to know you with the shits. Like off rip. Like, I got your surety bond. You know what I mean? I'm linked up with NOI. We gonna come see you if you violate my human rights and you violate my rights as a taxpaying citizen. I'm gonna see you one way or the other. So make sure you understand what you're getting yourself involved in. You know what I mean? So please go check out realnagas.com. Check out, patronize their police stop law stuff. I'm a member.
REEL.
Yeah, I think everybody should be a member.
NAGAS. Yeah, brother Kevin, right?
You get a lot for your package. It might be a couple $100, but it's a couple $100 if you could save a life. You could save your life. You could save somebody in your family's life. You know what I mean? So that's very important. And then, like Brother Mozzie and myself always say, learn a martial art, because you never know. Learn how to try to learn how to go to see if you can find a certified martial arts study that will allow you to be in those situations and for you to disarm yourself within those situations, so that you can get back to the diplomacy of the situation. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you got to be, ghetto superhero, but you do got to protect yourself. And you got to protect your loved ones. You know what I mean? And we are way past overtime, so I appreciate everybody that's on here. Sister Brother True, Brother Divine, everybody that came on tonight, everybody that's rocking on all 13 social media channels that we're on right now. Please, please, please. Like, share, and subscribe. Timestamp your comments so that every time we have a Real HD show, we can have a higher discussion. And I'm going to see you guys later. And as usual, peace and walk the power. Y'all be good. Y'all love on each other.
Okay, take care. Love you.
All right.
Well.